Interested in learning about wine, but not sure where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I'm your host, Haley Bowman, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm a wine enthusiast turned wine educator and founder of the Seattle-based wine tasting business, Cork and Fizz. It is my goal to build your confidence in wine by making it approachable and lots of fun. You can expect to learn everything from how to describe your favorite wine to what to pair with dinner tonight, and so much more. Whether you're a casual wine sipper or a total cork dork like myself, this podcast is for you. So grab yourself a glass and let's dive in. Welcome back to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast, or if this is your first time here, welcome. So glad you are here. I will say, if this is your first episode you're listening to, you might want to go back to episode 68, because today's episode is part 2 of my interview with Pepe Raventos, the winemaker at Raventos y Blanc in Spain. So today we're going to focus a little bit more on the wine region that they are making their wine and talking about why we don't call the sparkling wine at Raventos y Blanc, why we don't call it Cava. And instead we focus on a new region that they are creating called the Conca del Riu Anoia. Before we get into it, I did just want to highlight, I talked to Pepe about being a DO, and I want to specify what that means before you listen to this. So a DO stands for Denominación de Origen, and it's basically a copyright system that's designed to protect the name of certain products. So it actually in Spain applies to more than just wine, and it actually can go outside of Spain as well. But it's basically the idea that something like Camembert cheese has to be specifically Camembert. Parma ham is specifically Parma. You have to follow the specific rules, and it has to come from Prosciutto di Parma DOP. Hopefully that makes sense. It's basically the same idea as you can't call a sparkling wine champagne unless it comes from the Champagne region of France. There are also a bunch of other rules you have to follow. So it's the same thing in Spain with a DO. So before there was a DO Cava. It has very broad rules. It can come from, for example, I think it can come from anywhere in the Penedes region. You are allowed to use a lot of different grapes. There aren't as many rules with it versus this new DO that Raventos y Blanc is trying to make is going to come with more guidelines, not just for the sake of rules, but because they want to make a certain quality wine and have that same vibe that you would get from, let's say, Barolo, right? When you hear Barolo, you know that comes from a specific region in Italy, has to be made with Nebbiolo, has to follow these certain rules. That's what they're trying to create with this new sparkling wine region in Spain. So, all that said, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background there. And yeah, otherwise, enjoy the interview. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, so for those that are unfamiliar with Spanish sparkling wine, I think the first thing that comes to mind is usually Cava. Cava is a sparkling wine made in Spain using the champagne method or the traditional method. It's made using primarily Spanish grapes, Xarello, Macabeo, Parellada. You can also add Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And one of my favorite things about Cava is that it's known for not breaking the bank like champagne, despite it being made in the same process. But I've also learned there are good and bad Cavas. It is a very large grouping, right? That you can fit a lot of things in there. So which brings me to my next question for you, which is your grandfather, Joseph Maria Raventos y Blanc, was the promoter and creator of the Cava DO, the designation, and where that came out of in 1986. But you chose to leave the Cava DO or the Raventos y Blanc, take it out of the DO in 2012. Can you explain the motivation behind that?
Yes, very simple. Well, first of all, my grandfather created Cava with other friends and people in the wine industry in Penedes to become something that never has become. Because the idea is to promote the quality of the grape Xarello in Cameroonian limestone that makes one of the most mineral sparkling wines you can ever taste. No? Sadly, with the years, Penedes sparkling wine / Cava gravitated to mass production. So it's become a fantastic value for money sparkling wine from Spain. But the dream of my family is really to take it to the next level. So I was living in America in 2010, and I learned an expression which is don't hate the players, change the game. So you told me the way, and this is what led us to declassify and start from scratch to create an appellation inspired in the Burgundian or the Barolo model or Priorat model, if I may say a couple.
Yeah, well, I think that's so interesting. Like, because yeah, when I think of cava, I just think of Spanish sparkling wine. I'm probably saying this wrong, and you're saying it differently. The Xarello, or how do I say that grape?
Yeah, you say very well, Xarello. Yeah.
Xarello. Okay, Xarello. I know it's a grape that can be in it, but I've never thought of like the cava championing it. And that's probably, that's literally showing how it's changed from what, your grandfather and his friends wanted to create. And instead it's now just the sparkling wine. And so I'm guessing, so like you said, you're kind of wanting to lean more into that. And not only the grape, but also where it's coming from. Like the same way that we think of, I don't know, like Chablis is like, right, Chardonnay from the limestone soils in northern Burgundy. We kind of want to attach that to your sparkling wine. And so I'd love to learn more about what I understand is the new region you're creating and hoping to one day become a DO, Conca del Riu Anoia. What is it and what do you hope it'll represent?
Haley, you say very well, Xarello, like you say, Chablis, is the same pronunciation, although Chablis is written with CH and Xarello with an X, and one is in French and the other is in Catalan. But you say very well, Xarello, like Chablis, just came to my mind. So thank you for
Yes, thank you.
inspiring that. Conca del Riu Anoia is just an appellation of means valley of the river Anoia in Catalan, and it symbolizes this dream, the dream of having an appellation only for sparkling wines, terroir driven, vintage dated, 18 months on the lease, made with Xarello and Sumoll indigenous grapes, and from our valleys. No, the whole idea is that the valleys, the villages, and the vineyards are the protagonists and not the brands. So this is why I say it's inspired in Priorat or in Barolo or Burgundy, which in my opinion are three fantastic models in different countries that really speak about terroir.
Just a quick reminder, if you are not on my mailing list yet, what are you waiting for? I would love for you to join. When you do, you'll get a free shopping guide that has 15 of my favorite wines under $15. Head to corkandfizz.com, scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a little section where you can join the mailing list. I send out a weekly newsletter filled with wine tips, recommendations, special offers, and so much more. Now, let's get back to the show. So right now, I'm guessing you are the only winery that is essentially making wine in the Conca del Riu Anoia. Do you imagine there will be future wineries that follow you?
Absolutely. Once we declassified, although at the beginning it was a surprise and we were strongly criticized, I have realized that 12 years later we started a revolution. There are many people living the Cava appellation, creating a lot of different paths. It's a little bit of a construction moment for Northern Penedes, but that I am sure and positive that it will end in a strong appellation, government control, with very serious requisites, and that will bring to the world an alternative to champagne, and more on the mineral side, not so much, definitely not based on Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, but on Xarello, Sumoll, maybe Macabeo, like really grapes that step out for their freshness here, but more than anything that give the protagonist to the roots of the plant and make like really mineral and salty wines.
Yeah, so I hear, and I remember learning about this from Arnau during the Cork Crew tasting as well. The grape that I've never heard of, Sumoll, is this a grape that's only found in Spain and maybe even only found in your region?
Only in Penedes region, the same as with Xarello. Xarello is white skin grape, and Sumoll is red skin grape, and those are the most important, authentic and historical. I was about to say historical grapes from this territory, and it's really great that they are only planted here. So I am very strong on the fact that we have to really focus and potentiate that expression, no, because they are very unique and wonderful. Yeah.
It was Samoy used in Cava previously, or is it something that you've kind of added in with your new region?
No, Sumoy was historically produced for used for red wine production, and then because it's very difficult to farm, people abandoned and planted only white, easier grapes like Macabeo, Parellada, even easier like Chardonnays in Penedes. And it's very interesting now that we're moving back to the difficult ones, and really it's beautiful to see that this is what people are valuing most. So it's better to work a difficult grape that makes a fantastic wine and people appreciate the quality of it and supports this idea of territory, than just go with easy grapes that produce a lot of kilos, but then the wine is not tasty, and then you have to sell very cheap, and that's not good in the long term for anybody.
Right. No, I totally agree. And so then is Samoy the grape that gives your rosé the color?
Yes, Sumoll is a grape that we use for rosé. We also make one Blanc de Noirs with Sumoll called Texturas de Pedra. But more important, we have a second project, which is still wine property 30 miles southwest of where we are now, up in the mountains of Baix Penedes. And there is where we're making red wines with minimal intervention with a grape Sumoll. And hopefully one day we can taste together one beautiful 100% Sumoll when we find a way, because it's difficult. We started 2016, so imagine how long is the wine business, no? And how boring it can be that we still have not found a way to make really, really high quality. But for you to understand, Sumoll is like an Nebbiolo, but with a little bit lower alcohol and higher acidity. So it can make like really, really beautiful wines that can have an amazing aging capability.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Well, I'm really excited I mean, that is such a great thing to point out too. You're like, we've been working on this from 2016. Like, I think a lot of people look at the wine world, and hopefully those that have listened to my podcast now and heard from so many winemakers recognize that it's not this like glorious, like beautiful thing all the time, and you just get to drink wine and do the thing, and like, and it is a wonderful career, but it is difficult, and it takes a lot of time to create these wines and to make this, which is another thing that I love about it, that like I get to drink something that somebody's put so much love and effort into making.
Well, it's very beautiful to work in the wine, and I appreciate your comment. I think the way the world is moving nowadays, it might be telling us that easy is not always the best, no? And all this idea of making a business with little time and make a lot of money doesn't make happy individuals. So I encourage everybody to keep fighting for the long term, and keep strong, waking up every day for whatever passion they pursue, because easy is, don't think anything is easy, and I also think easy is not good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to go back just really quick to the Conca del Riu Anoia. Like right now, it is a region. It's not necessarily a DO, denominación de origen. Is that a goal to make it a DO? And what does that process look like?
Yes, as I mentioned, I am positive this will become government control appellation. The process is to put the effort together of farmers, of winemakers, of other stakeholders in the territory. Can be cultural associations, can be restaurateurs, journalists, mayor of villages. Like create a pool of people that really believe in the model, and then convince the Catalan government that they have to help, and then they are obliged to help, and really we need to then start up a legal process where the in Brussels, in the head of the European Union, they approve you the appellation. And this is the moment where we are now, is we are already a lot of people together in that, and we're talking to the government to see if we can start the legal procedures.
Wow, that's cool. I'm curious because like right now I hear like, oh, we have the people, we're starting the legal procedures. How long do you think it would take?
In Spain, it can take maybe one generation, but hopefully we can see this, I don't know, in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, no, I love it. And in the meantime, I think it's just something like people can still look for it on the label. It doesn't need to be a DO for you to recognize it and know what that means.
People need to understand that Catalan sparkling wine, not just Raventos, there are many other producers, offers the most mineral sparkling wine in the world with aging capability. So if you enjoy dry wines, dry white wines, such as, I don't know, white Burgundy, as Godelos from Galicia, I wanted to mention, I don't know, maybe some wines from like Gruner Veltliners from on the dry side from Austria, Chenin Blancs from the Loire. There is a Xarello that can be very beautiful in still, but also in sparkling wine. And this is already in the market and delivers like the most amazing value for any bubble that you can imagine. Yes.
Yeah, since you guys are trying to make a still of the Segoy grape, did I say that right?
Sumoll,
Samoy,
Sumoll is
Samoy.
Sumoll.
Okay, Samoy. Do you also have any goals of making a still Xarello? This podcast is sponsored by VoChill. When you're enjoying a glass of wine, temperature matters. And you don't need to be a wine expert to know this. You know this the minute you realize you forgot to put the bottle of wine in the fridge, and now you're stuck with lukewarm Sauvignon Blanc that is the opposite of refreshing. You know adding ice cubes will just water the wine down, but it seems like it's your only option. Not anymore. I want to introduce you to one of my favorite wine gadgets, VoChill. This gadget is as simple as it is elegant. It will keep wine perfectly chilled in your own wine glass. No more clunky metal or plastic tumblers or ice in your wine. While this gadget is an absolute must during the summer months, I don't enjoy wine without it from June to September. It's also incredibly useful for those days when you're craving a glass of white or rosé, but you don't want to wait for the bottle to chill in the fridge. VoChill offers a stemmed and stemless chiller in multiple colors, so you're bound to find one that's perfect for you. They also make the perfect gift. I should know, I got one for my mom at Christmas a couple years ago, and she loves it. Head to vochill.com, that's VOCHILL.com, to get your perfect wine chiller, and don't forget to use code CORKANDFIZZ for 15% off your order. This podcast is sponsored by the Cork Crew Virtual Wine Club. Interested in trying new wines, but not sure where to start? Or maybe you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you love the idea of tasting wine live with me. If that's you, come join my Cork Crew Virtual Wine Club, and you'll get to sip wine with me twice a month while I help you find new favorite wines. The Cork Crew is not your ordinary wine club. This is a community of people who are passionate about exploring new flavors, learning about different wine styles, and having fun along the way. And the best part about this club, purchasing the wine is completely optional. Plus, all events are recorded, and you have access to the full library of recordings as a Cork Crew member, so you can always catch up if you can't make it live. Oh, and did I mention it's virtual, which means you get to do all of this from the comfort of your sofa in your PJs. No need to worry about driving in crappy traffic, finding a designated driver, or spending an arm and a leg on a taxi. Want to give it a try without the commitment? You're in luck. Right now, I'm offering a free class pass to anybody who wants to try out the Cork Crew Virtual Wine Tasting Club. With this pass, you'll be able to join a Cork Crew event of your choosing. No strings attached. I don't need your credit card. I don't need you to sign up for anything. You'll be my guest. Simply head to corkandfizz.com/free class pass to get your class pass and be one step closer to becoming a member of the best wine tasting club around, the Cork Crew. I can't wait to see you there. Now let's get back to the show.
We already have still Xarellos in Sumoll and in the market, and they are in America. And a lot of friends of ours, Enrique Soulet with the Noon, more Burgundian style, with more wood, beautiful Xarellos, Tony Carbó on the more natural side, Pardas on a classic but not overwooded, beautiful Xarellos, Salle Pardas, Can Rafurs dels Caus, Juan Rubio, Mascandí. So many producers come to my mind. They can find amazing Xarellos in the market. And also sparkling wine producers that have amazing Xarellos in the market. Salle Credo, what's name? Aterroca, I think has a beautiful Anima Mundi project. You can find amazing still Xarellos in the market. And for the red Sumolls, it might take a little while. You can start to taste some beautiful expressions, but I would give a few years to really, really enjoy the potential of the grape.
Yeah, no, I love it. Okay. Before we get to, I have a little like speed round I do at the end, just kind of like your favorites, what's top of mind. But I'm curious if there's anything else you'd like to share with listeners, whether it's anything new and exciting coming up or anything that we haven't touched on.
What is important is that everybody wants to come to Barcelona, which is a fantastic city, isn't it? However, just 1 hour drive away of Barcelona, there are amazing things to visit. So I encourage all our listeners, when they come to the area, to take a train, to take a car, go to visit Montserrat, which is incredible, come to Penedes, enjoy the local gastronomy in restaurants like Calchim, XIM, amazing family restaurant, brother grilling, brother in the room, mother cooking still, old stews. Go to Girona, go to Tarragona, go to there's great things to visit around Barcelona. So Just don't do Barcelona, Rome, Paris, and Madrid and leave. Just come to Barcelona and stay in Catalonia for a week and visit the outskirts because, as you know, Spain is offering an amazing, if you like food and wine, an amazing restaurant offer, and then we're in a very strong moment at an immense value, no?
Yeah, no, I need to come back. I studied abroad in Spain in college, but I was based in Madrid, but I did get to visit Barcelona. But at the time, I wasn't into wine and I, didn't really travel much further outside of the city. So I would love to go back,
Sorry that
especially
you
with that
mentioned
focus.
Madrid and I almost break my cup of coffee, but it's fine.
My favorite region that I loved Galicia, I think was my favorite at the time because we actually got to go out into the country and meet more of the people and have more of that local cuisine. Barcelona, it was beautiful, but I stayed right in the city and it was so hard to find the, more local foods and instead of like all the tourist traps that were around.
That's why I encourage everybody to move a little bit away from the city to find
Yes.
the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, well, so my speed round, I call it a speed round simply because it's meant to be like, don't think about it too much because these questions could have multiple answers. It's just what's the first thing that comes to mind. So the first one is just what is your favorite wine at the moment?
Probably Nebbiolo. I am passing a Nebbiolo moment.
Nice. Okay. Okay. How about favorite wine region that you've ever visited?
The Jura.
Ooh, I'm going there in September. I'm so excited. Okay. A wine region you'd like to visit that you haven't yet.
Slovenia.
That one's come up a lot. Okay. How about favorite wine and food pairing? Again, just kind of at the moment.
Wow. It's too difficult to answer this. It's like there's so many options. But coming up to my mind, I feel like having some bubbles from Conca del Riu Anoia made with Xarello and enjoyed with beautiful oysters.
Oh, I love it. That sounds so good. Okay. And then what is a wine that surprised you lately?
I've been surprised almost on a yearly basis, but how about La Baixada is a Grenache that Álvaro Palacios is making in Priorat, and it's showing so delicate 2021 vintage, La Baixada 2021 vintage from Álvaro Palacios. Extremely delicate Garnacha from a warm vintage in Priorat.
Nice. Okay, that is what I have. Thank you so much again for joining and for sharing all the information, and especially in the middle of harvest. It's a crazy busy time for you. So, again, really appreciate your time being here.
Thank you, Haley. I hope it was of your interest. When you travel, take you to Barcelona, please connect with us,
Oh,
okay?
absolutely. You can bet on it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time.
It truly never gets old talking to people in the wine world about wine. Like, it's just such a fantastic opportunity that I have to get to do this. So, thank you for listening. So, people want to come talk to me. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I would highly recommend picking up a bottle or two or more of Raventos y Blanc. I actually just made an order on wine.com to try all of their different styles of sparkling wine. I think they had 5 or 6 available there, but also recommend checking out your local wine shop. Ask them if they can get Raventos y Blanc if they don't currently have it. But like I said, you can also find it on wine.com, and I'll put that link in the show notes for you. If you loved this episode as much as I did, I'd love it if you could take a quick second to rate it and leave a review. And if you know a wine lover in your life that would enjoy this, please share it with them. It would mean the world to me. In next week's episode, I'll be talking about a topic that's very popular in the wine world and in winemaking. And we've actually touched on it a little bit in these episodes with Pepe. But we're going to be talking about and sharing the difference between organic, biodynamic, natural, and clean wine. And I'll give you a hint. One of them I think is total BS, and it's not biodynamic. Okay, thanks again for listening. And if you want to learn more about wine, come follow me at Cork and Fizz on Instagram. And if you're interested in exploring new wines and joining an incredible community of wine lovers, be sure to sign up for my virtual tasting club, The Cork Crew. Head to corkandfizz.com/free class pass to come check it out and join a tasting for free. Cheers!